everybody, it's attorney Veronica McClendon, and I am about to talk to y'all about something that I think that most lawyers would not tell you, and that is that you absolutely can do your own will. Now, am I suggesting that you do? Don't take this video to mean that, because I'm definitely not suggesting that you create your own will. But I am saying that if you wanted to do your own will, there are plenty of tools out there. You can go to office supply store and buy your little packet from there. They have it where you can type it in on the actual document, or you can create it on a disk and format it and print it off. You can go online. There are so many online sources to creating wills. You can go to one where you basically create your own will. They even have some where like something with AI will probably ask you some questions and create your will. You can absolutely create your own will. But when you do that, you miss out on having a trained professional person who has seen many things as they've been around the block, who has experienced, especially if they do probate, they have helped families through all kinds of crazy stuff. And they can tell you when you're creating your will that, yes, what you're putting together is legally sound. Your family won't have any trouble getting it to a probate court and getting a probate court to approve that will. But they also can tell you that there are other things that people don't really think about unless they deal with estate matters all the time. Lawyers can talk to you about those things and help you to avoid creating problems that are worse than would have been there if you actually did not have a will. And I'm telling you this from experience. I have worked with families where a will has been objected to. We've dealt with objections to wills, even perfectly valid wills that have been objected to because the person who created the will didn't really think about their family when they were creating that will. They created something that sounded good. Yeah, I'm gonna put this person in charge. I'm gonna give everybody these items and I'm gonna split it up this way, and everybody's gonna be happy that I created a will. But they're not thinking about the fact that they have a family member who is on drugs and likes to challenge anything and everything that the oldest sister does because they always thought the parents favor the older sister. So it don't matter what happens, they're gonna challenge it. And so even if the will was perfectly valid, they're gonna go to court and challenge it just because they want to. Or the person who's creating the will may not have thought about the fact that maybe I shouldn't leave my house to all three of my kids equally because one of them's going to want to live there one and not pay anybody any rent. The other person's going to want to sell the house. The other person, they'd be lucky if they can get him on the phone or her on the phone. Be fair, it'd be an equal opportunity. um I don't know, y'all know what I mean. But anyway, so you want to make sure that you're thinking about all these different things. And when you're going online and you got your template and they say, who do you want to be your executor for your will? They'll probably give you a definition of the executor so that you'll know who that person is. And you'll say, oh, I want it to be this person and that person. And then the template might say, now who do you want to receive your property? How do you want to split your property up? And you might think, oh, I'm going to split it up this way. And you might go through all of the fill in the blank type things. But there are things that a good estate planning lawyer is going to ask you that you might not think about. The stuff I just talked about, where you have property going to one family member being split between a lot of different family members, where you have family animosity, that it's not like you don't know this stuff happens, but sometimes having a lawyer to actually ask you questions might make you think about things that you didn't think about. And I'm saying this because I have been in so many client meetings where I'm sitting with the client and I'm talking with them and I ask a question and they say, I never thought about that. Or that's a good question. I really didn't even think that that would come into play when I'm creating my will. I've had clients come in and say that they know exactly what they want to do. They tell me what they want to do. I ask them a few questions and then they walk out with a completely different will. Or many people come in expecting to get a will. They just need something simple. They know that they don't really have a whole lot, so they don't think they really need much more than a will. And then I say, let's consider getting a trust. And the reason why I might advise them to get a trust is they might have a blended family. And I know that if we take this will through probate court, it is going to result in people getting notified about the will being probated that maybe that person did not want them to be notified. And if you have questions about that, I actually did a couple of videos within the past few weeks. I can't remember the name. I'll put the links in the description. But I did a couple of videos where I talked about the probate process and how, at least in the state of Georgia and probably in most states, if you have a will, it must go through probate court. And when it's probated, you have to notify the person who's probating the will, which would be likely the executor named in the will. They're going to have to send notice of the will being probated to the heirs of the deceased person. So the person who created the will, they may have died as a widow or widower, so they don't have a spouse, but then they have children. So they're going to notify the children of the probate of the will. Or let's say you have a situation where someone has a will, they left everything to their spouse, who is they're married, but turns out they actually have children from another relationship. And so those children are going to also be notified of the will, whether or not the parent wants that. And I've had a lot of clients in that situation where once they realize that the children will have to be notified, they say, look, we can't do an estate plan that's going to require the input and the agreement, in a sense, of the children from the other relationship, because they don't like me. And if we notify them that this will is being probated, they're going to do everything they can to make my life hard. And we don't want to do that. So a lot of times couples, even if they have a relatively simple estate, they will create a trust instead of a will, so that their family, so that everybody doesn't have to be notified when it's time to administer the estate. Because sometimes they say, look, I'm giving you what I'm giving you, and that's what you're getting. But you don't have to know what I'm giving your sister. You don't have to know what I'm giving your mama, your stepmama, your stepdaddy, your cousin. You might think that I shouldn't give anything to the cousin that I helped raise, but it's not my biological child. If I want to do that in my trust, I can do that, and you don't have a right to object to it unless there's like something really crazy going on. More than likely, that trust is going to stand as it is, because everybody doesn't have to know what happens to the trust. Whereas with the will, everybody who is an heir is going to receive notice that that will is being probated. I kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent there. But the main thing I'm trying to tell y'all is that there are questions that you don't even know to ask. There are scenarios that you have not considered. There are ways of leaving your property that you may have thought that the way you came in with was the way that you should do it, but then after talking with your lawyer, you might realize, let's take a different approach. They're just things that a template can't help you with. And so when you are working with an estate planning attorney, they're not just filling in the blank on documents. They are actually helping you to think through what is the best way to plan out your estate. And actually, one thing I almost forgot to mention is actually the whole reason why I did this video. I saw a post on Facebook where a lawyer shared about a situation where he was working with the widow of someone who had a will. The couple actually went in together, got their wills done. I would say they went in together. They actually went online and they went to a reputable website and they created their will. What they ended up doing is messing up in the execution. So they created this will, and the surviving spouse signed the will as a witness. Well, here in Georgia, at least, if you leave your spouse, I mean, not your spouse, if you leave somebody something in your will, as you name them as a beneficiary, and then they actually witness the will as there's like a process where the person having a will, they have to sign it, and then you have to have two witnesses. That's here in Georgia. It's other rules in other states, but here in Georgia, you need two witnesses to say that the will was executed in the proper way. Well, if one of the people who signed the will as a witness was receiving property from the will, everything that they're getting from the will is going to be, it's going to, what is called a lapse. It's going to be as if that person has died before the person creating the will. Because if you're witnessing the will, that's going to cancel out anything you get under the will. So just in that situation, having a lawyer to say, hey, we can't have the wife to sign the will that she's going to receive property from, because that's going to make it so that she doesn't get any of her property. Now, in that particular case, the wife was the surviving spouse, so she would be able to get it through other ways. But if it was like a child or a cousin or a neighbor or whoever that you left stuff to and they signed the will as a witness, whatever they would have received from the will is now null and void. So those are the kind of things that you really have to think about when you're creating a will. But in addition to signing the will as a witness, this will also had other issues. And I won't say the will had issues. It's just a estate plan. Like the couple, they created the will. They said, this is what I want to happen to my property when I go. This is who I want to get what. But they didn't think about, how are my bank accounts titled? Is there any way that my bank accounts might be titled that operates contrary to what I put in this will? And in this particular case, the person who created the will, they own joint property with their spouse. They own some property in their own name, and they own some property with their brother. And so in this case, they actually set some things up so that the brother was left out of some stuff that he should have been included in, and there was just certain accounts that should have been changed over because this man had his accounts titled one way, and then when he got married, he should have changed it to another way. But all of this, what I'm saying is that when we are looking at things from an estate planning perspective, as your attorney, I'm looking at more than, what do you own, who do you want to give it to, who do you want it to be, who do you want to be in charge of it. I'm looking at beneficiary designations of all of your accounts, your retirement accounts, your investment accounts, your bank accounts. I'm making sure they line up with the estate plan we create. I'm looking at your property, making sure it's titled the way that you want it to be titled. A lot of people don't realize that property that they bought with their spouse may be set up so that when one of the spouses dies, their part goes to their estate, and then the other spouse's part goes to their estate. They might assume married couple bought property together. When one dies, the other one gets it. It doesn't automatically happen that way. And so when we're doing estate planning as an attorney, we're looking at all of those things and making sure everything fits together. We're asking questions like the thing that nobody wants to talk about when it comes to estate planning, which is, what happens if you are still living and you need someone to care for you? You need someone to make financial decisions for you. You need someone to make medical decisions for you. How is that really going to play out? Is the daughter that lives in California really going to be the best person to serve in that role? Maybe it's okay because everything's done virtually and online these days. Or maybe you need to have someone local. Maybe you decide to have the daughter in California handle your money, and then the son that's in Georgia, if you live in Georgia, to handle your medical care so they can go to doctor's appointments with you, and be able to help make medical decisions on your behalf. Then also, we're asking you how you're going to pay if you become incapacitated. You could have a stroke, you could have a heart attack, you could get in a car accident, you could start getting dementia. How do we make sure that your care is provided for at those different stages of aging? It could be that you need a certain level of care at one point in your, when you're starting to age, and then as you get older, you might need an additional care. Who's gonna pay for that? Like, these are things that a lot of people are just not thinking about. And as an estate planning attorney, I'm asking you the question so you can start thinking about it. And I used to be real polite about it. I didn't want to get all up in people's business. I didn't want to ask them stuff that they didn't volunteer to me. But at this point, I've seen so much that I can't be nice and polite anymore. I got to ask you the hard questions, or I'm not doing my job. And I'm telling you, that template that you get from online or that you buy at the office supply store, it's not going to ask you the hard questions because it don't know about your dynamics. And then, in addition, when I talk to people about hiring an attorney, I tell them to look at cultural stuff as well. Because if you come from a particular culture, the lawyer who's not from your culture may not understand that you have different dynamics that have to be dealt with. And so these are the kinds of things that we are encouraging you to look at so that you can make sure that you are getting a plan that's going to be appropriate for you and your family. So that's all I'm going to say today on this topic. I hope that this video was enough to help you to know that doing your own will is not something that you want to do. But if you choose to do it, then these are some of the pitfalls that you might fall into. Now, if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of assets, like you literally don't have any real estate, you don't have a lot of bank accounts, you just want a basic will in place to make sure that everything's covered, I would encourage you to see if you can go to your local legal aid office, or maybe there's a wills clinic, so that you can at least have an attorney look over things for you. But if that's not an option for you, then maybe going online and doing your own will could be a good option. I would encourage you to look for an option where maybe there's a hybrid between filling out forms and having an attorney to look over it. There are some options out there like that, or to have someone to, you know, I don't know what I was about to say, but there are options. There's a spectrum of options available, and you got to choose the one that's going to make the most sense for you and your family. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that you would like this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done it. Share this video with a friend or a family member who you think will find it helpful, and let's work together to make it so that we have more people doing more intentional, comprehensive estate planning, so we can avoid these issues that I talked about in this video. I don't think I introduced myself. I'm attorney Veronica McClendon. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Y'all take care, and I will see you on the next one.